G'day swingers and good morning. Welcome to Macca's Old School. It's Friday the 12th of August. As promised, we have another very special guest today. This man, as I've said on the promo, he's been there, done that twice. Incredibly interesting life, and we look forward to a nice chat with him today, about 90 minutes. His name, Mr. Garry Page, Hand of Death, H-O-D. This is Gary's first podcast, but with his past, I would say it's more like a hodcast, Hand of Death. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. We're most grateful for him coming today, and we're going to get started. Gary's going to tell the story his way, which we look forward to. This man's got 10 novels in him and 10 movies in him. He's, like I said, he's been there, done that. So we say welcome, Garry Page. Whenever you're ready, Gary, dive in, mate, and tell it your way. Thank you.
Yeah, well, my name's Garry Page, also known as Hand of Death, shortened to HOD. Now, I've got a lot of stories, but the ones I want to talk about are in these documents from the Crown Solicitor's Office. So, these stories are out of there, from there. In the Court of Criminal Appeal, number 233 of 1976, Quorum, Street, C.J. O'Brien, J. Carmichael, Judges, Friday the 14th of October 1977, Regina v. Garry John Page. Appeal against severity, charge of wounding with intent to murder. Verdict of not guilty of crime charge, but guilty of alternative of malicious wounding with intent to do grievous bodily harm. Sentence to penal servitude for life. Contention that the crime did not justify maximum sentence. Psychiatric evidence justifying conclusion that in the protection of the public life, that is preventive detention. Appeal dismissed, time to count. I'm the only person in Australia and the second person in the British Empire to get a life sentence for malicious wounding with intent to do grievous bodily harm. An extract, the psychopath gets life for hotel room knife attack. Extract from the Daily Telegraph, Thursday, December the 16th, 1976. A man who made a ferocious and vicious attack on another man with a hunting knife was sentenced to life imprisonment yesterday. Mr. Justice Maxwell said in the Central Criminal Court the victim would have been killed had he stayed in the hotel where the attack took place. The judge said he had to protect the community from the risk of this aggressive psychopath who had an operation in his brain 6 years ago to restore his aggressive impulses. That's these two burr holes in the top of my skull here. He sentenced Garry Page to life imprisonment for wounding Mirko Stojic with intent to murder him on April the 12th, 76. I have always had it stocked against me by police, prisons and politicians. I don't smoke, drink, take drugs, get with boys or play with toys. I gave up everything in prison so that there was nothing they could take away from me. And I don't swear, but I say, so fuck you too. New South Wales Supreme Court, David Kirby, Friday the 15th of November 2002, paragraph 1. On the 15th of December 1976, Mr. Justice Maxwell sentenced Mr. Page to life imprisonment. Mr. Page makes application to this court for the determination of a term of imprisonment and a non-parole period. Paragraph 19. Mr. Page was a quarrelsome child. He had an awkward relationship with his father. He left school at the age of 16. Shortly thereafter, in September 1961, he was charged with stealing. He was placed on a good behaviour bond for 12 months. Paragraph 21. Mr. Page was described by Professor Kylo, Professor of Psychiatry at the University of New South Wales, as abnormally aggressive since at least the age of 14 years, especially after alcohol. Enjoyed fighting. He regularly became involved in street fighting and hotel brawling. page 22, paragraph 22. However, Mr. Page appears to have some insight that his behaviour was unacceptable. He feared that he may kill someone. At his father's urging, he saw a psychiatrist, in brackets, Kylo. On the 29th of October 1970, Mr. Page became a voluntary patient at the Callan Park Mental Hospital, who remained at the hospital till the 9th of November 1970, when he discharged himself, because they wanted to do a lobotomy then, I thought, because they reckoned I had fluid in the head, it was pressure in my brain. Yeah. The hospital diagnosed a personality disorder and alcoholism. Paragraph 23. In the years that followed, Mr. Page's aggression did not abate. On the 8th of July 71, he was charged with assault occasioning actual bodily harm. Ultimately, in 1973, Mr. Page was placed upon a good behaviour bond for 3 years, in brackets, thanks to corrupt cops. Paragraph 24. However, before that matter was resolved, Mr. Page had a further fight with his father, who was almost killed. ... Arrangements were made for him to be admitted once more to Callan Park Mental Hospital on the 8th of March 1972. He remained at the hospital until the 7th of June 1972. He came under the care of Professor Kylo. Professor Kylo made a diagnosis of aggressive behaviour. He prepared a report which included the following. This is an abnormally aggressive and dangerous man. I felt that his aggression was such a disability to him that it merited the operation of the bilateral amygdalotomy, which is helpful in such patients. The day I got sentenced to life in prison, the prosecutor, Mr. Job, said to the judge, "You could identify this prisoner as one of the lead character roles of the film Clockwork Orange." Having not seen it, Job added, "Maybe you've seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest," and Judge says, "Yes, it was a good show." Job tells the judge, "Well, he's had the psychosurgery as depicted in that." And I put lol, I just added that because I thought it was funny. Paragraph 25. Dr. Arno Reed, a consultant psychiatrist at Prison Medical Service, that he saw the operation as a disaster. It had affected his memory. ... Dr. Reed provided the sentencing judge with the following bleak opinion. There is little doubt in my mind that Page is a grossly aggressive psychopath who has had an amygdalotomy. Paragraph 27. Now this is the main one. Dr. Reed saw no value in psychiatric treatment. Paragraph 28. In a report on the 9th of December 1976, shortly before the sentence was handed down, Dr. Reed reaffirmed his view in these words. As I stated in my former psychiatric reports, he's a confirmed psychopath who is most unlikely to respond to any available type of psychiatric treatment. I fear, therefore, that there is a grave risk of his committing similar offences if released. Paragraph 29. Maxwell J. accepted Dr. Reed's view. Paragraph 30. I'm concerned to protect the community. Paragraph 31. He's on to sentence Mr. Page to servitude for life. This is a consultant psychiatrist A.A. Reed, 18th of the 4th, 85, the same one who said, "Beyond psychiatric help." I interviewed Page again today. He tells me that he hates nobody and holds feelings of resentment against no one, even me. I supplied a report of court which was not entirely favourable to his sentence. Since that time he has not consumed alcohol, and he has been apparently a staunch supporter of AA since 1977. He is quite convinced that he will never drink again. In 16,922 days when I'm writing this, he will be reviewed. Paragraph 72. This is what Judge Kirby said. However, the portents of danger which were evident in 1976 have not materialised. The transformation of Mr. Page after more than a quarter of a century, it's over 46 years now, whilst incomplete, is nonetheless remarkable. It can be traced in part to the philosophies of Alcoholics Anonymous, which he embraced, and also his determination to remain sober, remain free of alcohol. With alcohol, his tendencies to violence appears to have receded. Paragraph 76. I specify a term of imprisonment of 20 years commencing on April 12, 76, expiring on the April 11th, 96, with a non-parole period of 15 years. Judge Kirby said to me on the 15th of the 11th, 2002, "It's all over, Mr. Page," and I said, "Thank you." Then I was taken back to Long Bay Jail to finish the remainder of the entrapment centre of 3.5 years. Now at this stage I'd like to hand it over to you, Macca, and swing it to the swingers.
Thank you very much, Garry. Mate, just from what you're saying there, what I'd like to clarify for the viewers. Now, you said you had a leucotomy. Is that correct?
No, I never said that at all. When I was first at Callum, you might be able to see a bit of a lump.
Yeah.
When I was first there...
No, it's picking up nice on the camera, mate. Yeah.
When I was first in there, the first time I went there, they said I was a volunteer patient.
Right.
They said, we'll do a leucotomy on you.
Yes.
And I said, I'll see you later.
Yeah, yeah.
2 years I'm back. 2 years later, my violence got worse and worse and worse.
And you thought you'd give it a crack?
No, because I nearly killed my father. Yeah, and I wasn't worried about doing that. He used to hurt me when I was a kid, so I used to go and bash him.
Yeah.
So, but it was at my parents' house. And in this house was my mother and my two sisters and the two nephews, and my two, they were only 4 and 6 then.
Yep.
And I went real violent. I was a psycho. And I couldn't, when I found out about it, because I used to have when I go violent, I get blackouts, memory losses, and when Mum let me know, I said, well, I'm going back and they can do what they like to me. Yep. And I said, please help me.
Yes.
And they finished up going through my skull, through here. The third time they go in, they burn a part of your brain out called the amygdala. And that's supposed to stop you from being violent or control your violent tendencies. And I had the 4 months, the shock treatments and other things they did to me in there, it was just...
horrific.
Yeah, it was really. Yeah.
I know stories of Callum Park and Gladesville. It was really horrific stuff went there.
And when I tried to get to the Royal Commission, when the same bloke who did the deep sleep therapy.
Yep.
I forget his name now, but I got it written in my documents and name.
Yep.
He, I tried to get to the Royal Commission.
Right.
Into that Chelmsford inquiry, I think it was.
Right.
But they wouldn't let me go there because I was in a prison and not a mental institution, because I would have blown the whole thing apart. Yeah. Because nobody's ever heard of this.
Yeah.
This got outlawed by the World Health Organisation. Yeah. In 1974. Yep. And that's why this Dr. Chelmsford bloke started putting them to sleep for 10 hours. So that was... Anyway,
most people have just heard of lobotomy and don't know anything else.
Well, there's lobotomy, leucotomy. Yeah. But this is bilateral amygdalotomy, which is not the correct spelling. Yeah. It's actually amygdaloidotomy.
It's a bloody mouthful. Yeah, it's a bloody mouthful.
That's why they probably left the OID out. Yeah, yeah. Because nobody. Yeah, I've been around a few places and I went to Prince of Wales Hospital. I thought the neurosurgery, neurotics or whatever they call it, and I thought, well, I'll go and they were real interested. Yeah, right. And I got talking to the doctor at the desk, and she's called a couple of doctors in, and and they said, "Oh my goodness, like 20." Then they said, "I said, when would you like to see me?" Oh, you've got to get a doctor's referral. Yeah. And excuse me for swearing a little bit, but I said, F you. Yeah. I'm the only person in the world, not only am I alive, I can talk about it. I can still talk about it. Yeah. And,
do you think, mate, well, the doctors at the time do you think it helped you at all, Garry?
No, not even a little bit, no.
Yeah.
No.
So zero.
It made me worse than anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And you were still drinking?
Well, that caused me to drink more. I was pretty heavy drinker, but I finished up a chronic alcoholic because I went from. I learned it was the first time in life I got scared. I wasn't scared because they said to me, if you're getting in any fights and you get hit on the big, I was supposed to go. I made a big mistake. I made. Yeah. I was supposed to go back to the hospital. Yeah. As an outpatient, which I never did because they wouldn't give me a job there. Right. I asked them to give me a job there, see? Yeah. They said...
They said
I still
no.
got the bet. No, I said, what do you mean? No, they said, we couldn't trust you. I said, what do you mean?
Yeah.
They said, if you attack somebody, we'll be held responsible.
Yeah, right.
I said, if you can't. So I left then, and it was a funny thing, I went home with a bandage just on my head
Yeah.
to my mother's place, and I put my suit on and went and had a drink with the Crims on,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And this is funny this night. And the fork and sword was candies at the old Centennial Hotel, and all the hoons from the cross. Hoons meant you had those days meant you had a girl prostitutes working for you.
Yeah, right.
And a lot of them were working on the doors, see.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'm up there with the bandages on the suit, and I haven't had a drink for 4 months or something.
Yeah.
And fork and sword. I said, hey, what aren't you talking to me? And this young bloke come back. He said, who are you, mouth? I said, what, you new in the job, are you? And he said, blah, blah, blah. And he said, what's your name? And I said, when I said Garry Page, he said, you're under arrest. I said, and then I went, what for? Squeaky voice. And the voice was the squeak.
Yeah.
Consorting sheet. But I'll tell you the funniest thing that happened to me in the Cullen Park.
Right.
2 months before I was in there again, I was up the cross a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the protection rackets and all that. And,
Yeah, the old cross.
The golden days. And what happened, I was barred in the city for 3 years. Anything to do with clubs, especially ones with poker machines. They thought the gangsters were trying to hone in on the...
Barred from the city for 3 years.
Yeah, What happened, I was up the VIP room this night with a mate of mine, and Charlton McDonald walked in. And when they see me, get out of the joint, you're no longer allowed here. And so I go downstairs and I see their GT parked there.
Yeah.
And I had a flick knife hidden. So I went and stabbed all their tyres, and I thought, I'm laughing at it, I think they won't be going very quick with the 4 flat tyres. So I keep out of sight for two months. Then I'm back at the nut house, and after a couple of months they give me a weekend leave, see? Yeah. They say, don't drink, don't go up the cross. So I don't go up the cross, I go to 77 William Street.
Yeah, right. At Club there. Yeah.
And I was sitting there this night, I've had a couple of beers, or maybe more. I used to buy 3 beers at a time sometimes, because...
Fair dinkum, fucking hell. Yeah.
The rest of they waiters.
The first one didn't touch the sides.
No, because they were too slow to come back with the second one. Anyway, this night,
really.
I always remember Gasorda's name. Peters and Ryan walked in, and then I remembered the tyres, because I forget it. And they come over to me, and they said, there's an APB out on you. Charlton McDonald want to see you. That's when I remembered the tyres, that's right. And I said, look, I'm really pretty crook. Sit down, stay there. So Charlton McDonald come and take me, and they take me up to Darlinghurst. And I'm weaker. And they give me the telephone book treatment. As you hold it there and they smash it into you, and and that's McDonald, he was the heavyweight champion of Australia. And I was a...
Christ.
So, cut this... They said, what are you doing now? I said, you drove me mad, I'm in the nut house. Oh, not working. Vagrancy. I said, no, excuse me for swearing. I said, you drove me fucking mad.
Yeah.
I'm in the nut house.
Yeah.
Not working, vagrancy, swearing, unseemly words. Plead guilty, Saturday morning court, or we'll lock you up, or hit you up with a gun when you walk out of the joint.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
So when I see the magistrate, I plead guilty, and I had $114 on me. And
Vagrancy was like less than $3 or something.
No. Vagrancy meant you had no place of abode.
Okay, right.
And he said, I plead, have you anything to say? Like, I'm having tests on my head, Cullen Park at the moment. He says, you're not lying to me about this, son. Well, I had a little phone number in my fog pocket. If I was going to go mental, they ring them up and they come and get me from the nut house, see?
Right.
And he went, when's your next test? I said, Tuesday. He said, I can only give you 3 days hard labour for vagrancy and a $40 fine for unseemly words. And them days used to cut it out $5 a day. So anyway, I do the 3 days of vagrancy. I pay the fine because I had money, and I get back to Cullen Park and they said, where you been? Well, they had the police looking for you. And I said, well, you should have checked Long Bay.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to sue the magistrate and the detectives. But I didn't tell them about the tyres. The reason I'm not going to tell them about stabbing the tyres. Well,
Did you hear anything about the tyres? I never heard.
Well, that's because I wouldn't admit to it. That's why I got the telephone.
Don't know anything about it. Yeah.
That's why they give me the telephone. So I had to do with Vegas, you know, something worse.
Jesus.
More they hit, the more I'd clam up, you know.
I heard about the phone book. I heard it was nasty as fucking hell. Yeah,
it wasn't good, yeah. But it left no marks. Just some of them around the bottom ribcage, they just dropped. You know?
Yeah. Just.
So there's a lot of stories. I could tell you a heap, but this is a different sort of podcast to start with. And if I get back again, it'll. I can tell you, I could write I've read too many words.
Yep.
150, and this is condensed.
All right.
So
we can continue whenever you like, Garry.
I've got a mouthful of water here somewhere.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Just over there. Yep.
Probably the best way to start prison stories is from a psychology report done on me on 8th of August 1983 by G.D. Fathers. And when I was taken to Parole in mid-83, I was big front page headlines. Prison officers strike again because of the influx of one dangerous prisoner. In 18 days I was taken from Bathurst to Long Bay for 10 days, then Parole for 5 days, for how long the whole system got locked down, then to Parramatta for 3 days, then back to Parole with 4 others, and I was placed in cell 2101 where I thought I'd be forever. Now this is his report. Page became well known to me when he was interested in applying to go to the special care unit. This was in mid-1982. Now, I wasn't interested in going there, but I had to apply to go there for a 7-year review.
Okay.
And that's what it says here. Prior to that, he was known by reputation. The special care unit could hold 30 convicts. Now, what these 29 convicts, so there's one vacancy there, they all had the vote and they didn't want me there.
Oh, thanks.
I was voted out with even knowing then. In jail, if you have a psychopath tag, it is not a nice place or situation. Now back to the report. Page was alcoholic and suffered a number of blackouts, solid and violent behaviour as usual, and although he could be impulsive, Page's tendencies were used and to a degree controlled by those who might have need for such a man of such a temperament. In 1972, an amygdalotomy was performed. There's been several admissions to psychiatric hospitals because of his violent tendencies. The diagnosis has remained consistent: personality disorders and alcoholism. There's a history of alcoholism in the family. Page is blah blah blah, and Page was encouraged to fight. Page was a fighter of some sort or another from the age of 15 years on, and can be violent without the need for or use of alcohol, but is much more dangerous under influence. Page often mentioned the power of his mind. He could read people's handwriting and had consumed the contents of every psychiatric reference to come his way. Page also talked of his physical powers. Wanting to be good at something, he perfected a difficult type of weightlifting exercise. And in brackets, I got a 300-pound bent-arm pullover. Wayne Newman was sitting on my feet. Page spent much time exercising and playing squash and advising others. He has a reputation of a man not to be trifled with, and was consequently reinforced in his notions of personal power and control. Controlling people very much appealed to him. The amygdalotomy still concerned Page. He sees himself as a man with the holes in his head. However, he is trying too hard to establish he is not insane. Page's stated intention is to have himself declared sane. He knows he is, and he wants this fact better established. At this stage, there is not much that can be considered by way of change in security for Page or establish a satisfactory program. Unfortunately, further max security seems to be indicated in continuing monitoring of his behaviour and potential. Signed, G.D. Fathers. so I never got my 7-year review. Now in the Sydney Morning Herald on the April 15, 1984, now it's life in jail on the Never Never plan. Prison's bizarre claims by Graham Gamby, may he rest in peace. New South Wales jail corruption charges have been given a bizarre new twist following claims that it's possible to pay to have someone kept in jail under max security. And this did happen, but I'll leave the rest there. The never released claim has surfaced in the same week Mr Justice Slattery is investigating allegations of corruption in the early release system. The New South Wales Ombudsman has just completed an 18-month investigation in the allegations had complained. He had been kept in maximum for 8 years. No 7-year review. The interim report of the Ombudsman has found that his decision to refuse a prisoner a reduction in his security classification was wrong, and the Corrective Services Commission has been ordered to review it. Conclusions. Mr Page was convicted of a serious crime of violence. The facts of the matter and the psychiatric evidence and opinion presented at the trial led the court to impose a maximum sentence. It behoved Mr Sanders as chairman of the ISC Indeterminate Sentence Committee to obtain a detailed and up-to-date psychiatric assessment of Mr Page for consideration at the 7-year ministerial review. No such report was obtained. Indeed, all the notations appearing on the review of classification forms relating to Mr Page are in Mr Sanders' handwriting. That was so bad. Matters as important as pressing classification, it is essential that justice not only be done, but also seen to be done. I am of the view there has been some procedural injustice to Mr Page. I find the conduct of Mr Sanders to be wrong, pursuant to the Section 5 of the Ombudsman Act, and he failed, blah, blah. Now, the function of the ISC, this is how they got out of this. The functions of the ISC have now been taken over by the Release on Licence Boards, which is outside the jurisdiction of this office. Accordingly, I'll make no recommendations in relation to the procedure governing classification and reclassification of indeterminates. Mr Sanders has now retired from the Department of Corrective Services, and I'll make no recommendations concerning his conduct in this matter. So Sanders retires.
Yep.
And the Ombudsman can't investigate.
Yeah.
So just the way they
it's all swept.
Back on the bottom of the barrel again.
Yep.
Now it's over to you, Macca. You want to? Because I'll say one more thing.
Sure, Gary.
You haven't heard none of this before.
Yep.
So you're going off what I'm reading to you now.
I'm going off. Yeah.
So good luck.
Thanks, mate. With Parole, that's maximum security. Yeah. And I remember
that was a new one.
I remember. I'm mid-50s, so I remember it pretty well. Now, even as a younger bloke myself, with Parole, there's a lot of industrial action from the guards and stuff back when you were in. Can I just ask you, or for the swingers, for the viewers as well, any of that related to you?
Well, that 5 days was.
Yeah.
Because that was it.
Because they were pretty fucking terrified of you, aren't they?
Yeah.
You were completely isolated?
I didn't mind being on isolation because I was out of trouble.
Yeah.
That's the way I figured it.
Yeah.
And that's why I said before, I don't smoke, drink, take drugs yet, but boys, I learn how to punch brick walls and do push-ups and mate,
you're still incredibly fit.
If I go like this,
I'm sure I'd be the paramedic. Yeah, you're still incredibly fit, mate.
Well, I've got to.
So just with your circumstances there, Garry, you were locked down 23
what?
hours a day.
No, it was about 18.
How was? I just want to give an insight for the viewers. About 18, and you got out exercise yard and what have you on your own. Everything's on your own.
No. Solitary confinement, you're on your own. When you're in the main.
Yep.
I was never on protection because most people are on protection from me.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
Even when they took me to Bathurst. Now, the reason why I went to Bathurst in '83 was because of all the killings in the Bronx. That's why I like the Bronx, following Parramatta.
Yeah, right.
You know? And so they didn't want me, Billy Mundy or Archie McCafferty in the same prison.
Yeah, right.
I've seen a few people give that on. Abbo's a friend of mine, a good mate actually.
Good man, yeah.
But a few of the others you want to, I just wouldn't even...
Wouldn't piss on them. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to,
so
actually.
To speak, yeah.
So anyway, what happened...
Yeah, I just wanted to give the viewers an insight of maximum security as well. What
well,
you
it was
Bathurst Jail, I heard, was fucking shocker as well.
Oh well, I was near that. That was just they were all shocking until after the Royal Commission.
Yeah.
But Parramatta was following Parramatta.
Yep.
Was you were in if you were sent there, you were in there. If you were sent to Parramatta, you were in the Bronx.
Yeah.
That's what they call the Bronx, the real Bronx.
Yeah.
You're at the end of the line. Yeah, that's right. And I was their sweeper.
Yeah, right.
And that's the highest position you can get as a convict.
Yep.
Because I had control of the coffee and the sugar and the...
Oh, man, you're gold.
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
And anyway, it was a brutal place.
Yeah.
It was good because I know I'm good at being brutal.
Yeah. You were the king of the road.
I loved it.
Yeah. No one's going to fuck with you.
That's why. That's why when I got to Parole in '83, they went on strike.
Yeah.
See?
Mate, as I said earlier, I remember it. I remember there was a lot of industrial action. I was in the Pennant Hills area for years. I was born in Parramatta. But
what happened when I was taken to Parklea, there was reception bands on.
Yep.
And I was and I was taken to One Wing Bottom, and I was the only prisoner there, only convict there, and they reckon they didn't have enough guards to man the stuff. But I'll tell you a funny story now. Not many people remember October the 28th, 81, the riot at Parramatta.
Right.
That was a good
full
strike.
Yeah.
It wasn't the convicts that went on. It was the prison officers who went on riot. They squared up. Because when they used to come into the Bronx,
it
used to be 6 at a time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And they didn't have it was a very fierce, it was a pretty brutal joint. It was a brutal place.
Yeah.
And that's why they had me looking after the coffer and jams and the...
Yeah, nothing's going to go missing.
In fact, I got Bronx 80 on my arm there. That was... and there's a story behind that which I won't go into.
Yeah.
You didn't get that unless you were one of the top 3 sort of thing. And
so the riot, it was full on. Yeah.
Oh, look, yeah, because we went on this. I think it was a Wednesday night.
Right.
They were having all them strikes.
Yep.
Right, because it was after the Royal Commission, and the prison officers saying they're running the joint, and head officers saying they're running the joint. Yeah. So the only way there was just sort of, that's why the strikes was happening all the time.
Full on. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty mad. But I just feel sorry for the Salvation Army people coming into. Because I was head sweep of the Bronx too. I remember, and for them to, I had to go up to the wall. They look through the people. I'll get up and face the wall, spread your legs.
Yeah.
Copper, because they had coppers doing that.
Yeah.
And then they'd open the door a little bit, and the Salvation Army would kick you hamburger, Big Mac or something, you know. But back to the riot. Oh, that was a bad night. And
we're talking tear gas and shit.
Well,
like
let me just finish.
Yeah, please.
When we decided we had enough, we had a peaceful sit-in and said we're not going back to our cells. We used to get locked up at 4:30. Yeah. Get out at 6 in the morning, get our breakfast for 10 minutes, just pick your breakfast up, get back into the half state, locked up from 8:30 till 11:30, out from 1 till 4:30. That was every day.
Yeah.
But after we didn't get back to, you'll never forget the night like this.
Yeah.
And we 6 o'clock come, we're supposed to be, there wasn't a screw in the joint. They're up in the towers.
Yeah.
All with their bloody guns and all this.
And carbines, yeah.
Whatever. And shotguns they had.
Yeah.
And anyway, it was nice to be walking around and looking at the stars, because you haven't seen stars for a long time. And you could walk around and at 10 o'clock, Well, me and another bloke, we're playing crib. You know, Grandma used to teach you.
Yeah.
The next minute you hear shots getting fired, and being the Bronx,
It's on. Yeah.
they've come, first place they've come in with a big fogger machine. Now you see these gas canisters they use.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, these is a big fogger machine.
Fucking hell.
And this smoke goes everywhere. I'll never get this night as long as I live, because you can hear the shots and the banging and screaming and all this.
Yeah.
And I'm in the first floor playing cricket with a bloke, and next minute, and what happened is because it's coming out of a big machine, it goes everywhere, and it finishes up turning to powder.
Oh shit.
And it starts burning you.
Oh,
Right?
shit.
And next minute I've had to throw my glasses off, and I've got a pillar over my head, and
Getting in your eyes and.
and I get out of and then get out the doorway at forewing, and then the gauntlet.
Yeah.
400 of them, batons. You had to run for your life down there. You had to run for your life.
It's full on hell.
Yeah. And unless you run back a 5 wing, side of 6 wing into the oval, and that was the worst part, getting the oval, because they only had a door, like one, and you could only fit, and it was just 200 blokes right. So anyway, we're down the oval, and there's nice walk around, nice and peaceful, and then a screw named Dusty Miller. He was in the towers.
Yep.
And he finished up shooting 13 blokes from the shotgun, right? And then Harry Duff and Professor Vincent come to is that enough, fellas? Go back to your cells 6 at a time. And we had to go back 6 at a time. And we were locked up for 9 days, but and I was very happy to see that my TV and that hadn't been smashed. You know, because that's generally what happens when they run in. They just smash your TV and that. And what happened in that 9 days we were locked up? There was this powder everywhere, in your bread, and it was funny down the. Oh, I shouldn't say funny, but down the oval, I go and have a leak.
Yeah.
I decide to wash me. I have a leak, wash my hands.
Yeah.
I must have washed my hands. Anyway, I finished up. My little fella started burning because it's got. Oh, that's right.
So it's everywhere. It's
Yeah. Go for you. Go for you. It just sort of. That's right. I've gone to have a leak, and then I start. Now I remember, it starts burning, so I go to the tap and I start, and it made it worse.
Oh shit!
And I go, oh God, right.
Your snag's on fire, and
felt like a hot ring around.
Oh, fuck.
And you just had to get some grass and dirt and.
Jesus, they must have pumped some of this, a hell of a lot
this
of this
mate's
stuff.
tear gas is the closest it can get to killing you.
Yeah.
How blokes
Breathing it and.
Yeah. Well, that was when it was there was no gas there.
Yep.
In the 9 days, it was all powder.
Yeah.
But everywhere, but you get, and funny thing, when the screws come back on strike, there's powder everywhere, and they'd have gas masks on.
Oh yeah.
Because it was just your eye. Anyway, you get used to it.
It's full on chemicals you're breathing.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it was more the burning sensation, and anyway, it wasn't a good night.
No, I bet, mate. You're bouncing for the tap. Have a wash. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, mate. Well, in your own time, if you want to continue, that'd be terrific.
I'd like to say one more about.
Sure, Gary.
When I got to in '87, when I got to Long Bay, I got a new parole officer. There's a reason why I got to Long Bay from Park Lee. When I got to Brad Miles, he's still alive and he walks the dog pretty close to where I live actually, and
Oh, right.
a little wave every now and then. And he said to a friend of mine, Gary's the most resolute bloke I've ever come across.
Yeah.
And
good.
when I saw him and met him in Parramatta prison, Long Bay prison, he says, is there any reason I don't know about why you've done nearly 9 years in maximum security and made no progress towards your release? And I said, politics. politician, psychiatrist, and he said, politicians and psychiatrists, I said, and he says, maybe it's this, suspicion of being involved in all the criminal activities whilst in Parramatta prison, 80 to 83, association with Billy Mundy and Archie McCafferty.
Right.
See? And I will say this.
Yep.
We were a pretty scary trio.
Oh, fuck yeah. I can imagine.
When you think you're never getting out of jail.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you think, what do you got to lose?
That's right.
That's
sort of it didn't matter. Anyway, at least I got rid of Sanders. That was that bloke from the...
And he retired.
Yeah, I've just got to organise myself here a little bit.
Yeah, you're right, mate. No worries. You're doing terrific.
Macca. Now, this is from the Sydney District Court, 18th of the 7th, 2000. Oh, hang on a minute.
You're right, mate. Get your bearings. No worries. You're doing terrific, Gary.
Right, now, I got arrested on the 11th of September 1997 and charged with 3 counts of supply heroin and a count of possession of firearms. I tried to get the police charged of conspiracy.
Right.
And entrapment.
Okay.
Because that's what happened. Memorandum of advice. Mark Irisy, SC, Frederick Jordan Chambers, 3rd to the 4th. This is an incredible story too. This would make a real good movie actually. Okay. The accused was arrested on the 11th of September. This is on the 3rd of the 4th, 2000.
Right.
Because your drag case, it was... Now, I'll start from here. Because I've had to chop and change all here. Anyway, the accused was arrested on the 11th of September 1997 and charged with, I just read that. He supplied an undercover cop known as Matt with 27.7 grams of heroin on the 30th of November 1996. I allegedly supplied 30th of November 1996 and got arrested on the 11th of September.
Yeah, right.
Now that's why I actually got down on $5,000 bail. That's what that magistrate said. There's something wrong here.
Yeah. He jerried. Yeah.
There was a woman, was that like, forget her name, that Aborigine lady. There was a lapse of some 10 months between the first supply and the accused arrest, which accused within the hours of him discovering a bug in his residence. The brief... discovering a bug in his residence. The brief includes 25 statements by Matthew Johnson. It is apparent from Johnson's statements that in respect to the earliest count, he anticipated being supplied by the accused before he met him. Our client further instructs he has not previously dealt in drugs, was supplied with money from time to time by Matt, and suspects that the police were using him in the hope of accessing big-time criminals. There is support for this contention in the multitude of warrants for listening devices which were issued by Justice of the Supreme Court during the course of the operation. Yeah, that's right. Now I know where I am.
No worries.
This is from a statement from the 29th of November 1996. 29th of November 1990. Detective Sergeant Graham James Ward. About 12:10 on Friday, the 29th of November, I went to the Drug Enforcement Agency Support Unit with Detective Sergeant Granger. I spoke with Detective Sergeant Ewan Hersig. Hersig handed me $10,000. This is on the 29th of September.
September, yep.
Right. Right, there now, I've got it right. 30th of November, the day after, Detective Robert George Dixon. On Saturday morning, the 30th of November 1996, I was an organised crime branch officer at the Strawberry Hills There I took possession of the sum of 10,000 in banknotes from a safe. About 10 a.m. that morning, I attended covert premises at another location where I conducted a briefing with Sergeant Pickering, Detective Hallett and other police. During the course of the briefing, I handed the 10,000 in banknotes to an undercover cop operative, used the name Matt.
Matt, yep.
So 29th, the day before,
Yep.
the cops counted out 10,000.
Yeah.
The next day, another cop's got the 10,000.
Yep.
And that day he hands the 10,000 over to the undercover bloke, Matt.
Righto, yep.
No, that's
changed a few hands, yep.
Now, this is a state for the Matt Johnson. This is where it starts getting better.
Okay.
Police Station, 30th November 1996, statement Matthew Johnson. About 8:30 on the Saturday, the 30th November 1996. This is again the day after the other bloke counted the 10,000.
Righto, yep.
Why did he take the 10,000?
Yeah.
Because they wanted something to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
About 10 a.m. on the same day, with other police, a briefing in relation to Operation Altana, Detective Sergeant Dixon of organised crime, he then handed to me $10,000. Now I'm back on track. Page 1. That was from page 1 of Matthew's statement. Now this is page 2. Because in the first page they identify themselves and put all this, if I am telling lies, I will be, I can be charged and all this crap they go through, and a whole lot of them. Matt's statement, page 2. On entering the unit, I had a further conversation with Garry, which was recorded. He then handed to me a piece of paper with writing on it. I noticed it related to a number of firearms and pricing. This was black market prices of guns, and from one of the newspapers. Because the mutt who bought the bloke to me, who I met, and then I said to him,
yeah.
The mutt introduced me to his mate who wanted a couple of guns, and I said, well, I want to see the money first.
Yep.
When he come to my place, I show him the photos of the clippings out of the paper.
Yep.
This is what we'll just put 200 on extra on it.
Yep.
Right. That's what, and I say to my mate Shane, I said, we've got a chance of earning 500 here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say, I'll give us the money. I'll go and get you. This is a bloke and get the money. This is a bloke and get the guns, but we want 500 up front each.
Yeah.
We're happy we'll get these mugs for 500. That's what we're thinking. But this is what happened. This is what I think I said. Gary, I showed to Gary the $10,000. He then left the unit. A short time later, Gary and another male person returned to the unit. Gary introduced this person as Shane. There's a lot of he says what he looks like. There's a description of that. Right. But I'll leave that out. I then had a conversation with Gary and Shane. And that's what I said. Yeah, so I told Matt that we could get him that, but we wanted 500 up front, and that would add 200 of them. Just what I just said. Yeah. Shane then removed a cigarette box from a plastic bag containing a white rock substance and handed it to me. I retained this plastic bag. I then handed Gary the $10,000. Gary then counted the money and kept $500 for himself. $500.
Yep.
And handed Shane $500, which he took and placed in his pocket. 11. About 1:10 p.m. I met with Dixon and other police. At this location, I handed to Dixon, this is after they left.
Yep.
The piece of paper with writing on it that Gary handed to me. That was with the pricing of the guns.
Okay.
And the plastic bag.
Yep.
That the white substance is. White rock rubber.
Yep.
Now, why did we only get $500?
Yeah.
Where's the 9,000?
Where's the 9 grand go?
Yeah. I then returned to the DEA premises where I handed to Sergeant Pickering an audio tape. He then played the tape, and I recognise it to be identical with the conversation I had with Garry and Shane earlier. Sure, it was identical, but then the next page, Operation Altana, take the 30th reference.
Yep.
Voices are very faint, therefore indecipherable from the time operator exited the car. Where's the 9,000? Garry and Shane got 500 each.
Yeah.
There was nothing on the tapes.
Yeah.
So when he'd heard it, they checked it at the start, it was working. He listened to it, there was right.
And
but as
then
soon as
they had a
there's nothing
problem.
on it,
Yeah.
it's indecipherable.
Yeah.
Look, that's what I say here. Look,
Corrupt there.
guesswork for corrupts. If I had supplied Matt with 1 ounce of heroin for 10,000 with all those other cops involved, why didn't I get arrested then, not nearly 10 months later after I found the bug? The 30th of November 1990 re-exhibits exhibit number, the number's correct. Sergeant Ray Ritso at approximately 2:15, Detective Hallett organised crimes, attended where I received from him an exhibit bag number 13150. Remember 150?
150, right.
Any reference to the security bag numbers 135 is on the exhibit number, the same number. Everything at the moment is good.
Yep.
On the 30th of November, now this is when the Sarge comes down, and he said, at this point I entered the exhibit room.
Yep.
The intention of oversighting the proper handling of the exhibit. And it's the same numbers as the other one. Right?
Yeah.
Now, the cops come, give it to the bloke on the desk.
Yep.
The sergeants come down and make sure everything's above board and they put it in the safe.
Yep.
But then, Justice Hallis comes. On the 30th, I attended the Sydney Police Centre. Oh, that's right. He wrote this statement on the Monday, or a bit later. On the 30th, I attended the police where the drug bag number ends in 155. There's a 5 on the end.
Yeah. It's changed. Yeah.
Well, what must have happened is he's put 155 when he made the statement then, because he knew he was going to change it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Because it's got the same exhibit, Rizzo, and they've all agreed.
Oh, yeah.
But that there he says
All
on
in.
on the 2nd of December, 1990, Monday, Sydney Police Centre, 155. I booked out 155.
Yep.
I conveyed 155 to, like.
Yeah.
The desk bloke and the sergeant and Matt 150, but this bloke's appeared with 155.
155, but no one knows anything. Yeah.
No. Well, I don't know what they did. But they all knew. What are you talking about? No one. They all knew what was going on.
Everyone becomes Schultz. They know nothing. You know?
New South Wales Health, and it goes to the laboratory 155, and it gets found to be. But it's still got the same book number.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
I got 3 years for pleading guilty on another supply of December the 20th. It went concurrent. They said it happened again.
Yeah.
That was only Lord's Robbie.
Okay. They're more onto themselves in these days, aren't they, Garry? I mean.
So, I'm nearly down to back to you.
That's all right, yeah.
So it says here, committed back to 5. Oh, the back of 5. That's what, sorry about this. But
no worries, mate. No worries.
Memorandum of Advice, page 2. Statement of police officers have reference to Operation Utopia Altana, which was presumably operation which the accused was targeted. Predated the commencement of the law enforcement controlled operations. Assuming that the accused was indeed targeted, committed the charge offence. Now, what they did, they changed the law of entrapment because of this.
I did see it.
Yeah, they said, they called it, it says here, predated the commencement controlled operations. They said it's okay for police to commit criminal offences as long as it is a controlled operation.
Oh, I see.
If it had a...
Yeah.
There's a lot of things happening in 10 months, and again, it'd make an enormous movie.
Oh, mate, and they just make it up the coppers as they go along.
No, well, they started with a plan. They didn't make it up as they go. You don't know that. I can only go. I'm going by the documents more than anything. It follows the police involved in the operation committed a criminal offence, namely clearing the supply of a narcotic. Accordingly, I advise that the New South Wales Police Service be subpoenaed to police produce material that may indicate what information the authorities possessed at the time the first target of the accused. First target of the accused, because there's quite evidence that I was targeted.
Yeah.
Right from the 10,000 day one.
Yep.
To the 10,000 day two. But you know, nearly yours. I'll get you back to you in a second.
No worries.
The subpoena was largely resisted, resulting in a hearing in front of before Howie QC last Wednesday, the 29th March. His Honour found that some of the material which was relevant in this regard was so inextricably mixed with material that would identify informants that His Honour declined to make it available to the defence. Page 4. A notice of motion has already been filed and served in the prosecution advising that the accused intends to seek an order prosecution evidence not be admitted. Because how can that evidence be admitted when all the flaws in it?
Yeah, absolutely.
See? And the basis that it resulted from the illegal or impolite conduct of officers and informants, or it just was so. But how?
Yeah.
However, even if the evidence of the I'll give a stipper because we're running out of time. There was no way I was going to plead guilty to supplying heroin for 10,000 on the 30th of November 1996. Even undercover Matt says in his statement that I took 500 and gave Shane 500 up front to get him a couple of guns. And from the evidence I have already quoted from the cop fuck-ups, it was impossible to be found guilty. Then on May the 22nd, 2000, my sister's birthday, when I heard the 26th messing tape, I only had 25 of them, I said, what's the deal? As you could clearly hear on this tape, I had sold 2 guns to Matt for 4,000. I was told that if I pleaded guilty to the drug supply, they wouldn't give me prison time for the guns. That's how they got out of that.
Yeah.
And
there's a bunch of questions.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Where do you start on that one, Gary? I mean, $9,000.
No, there's no $9,000 involved. What do you mean start with $9,000?
No, what you were just talking about then. You got 500. Your mate got 500.
Yeah.
The $9,000. The numbers changed.
Yeah,
on
that's
the
right.
documents.
Yeah, everything was so
premeditated setup,
of course,
I guess.
Yeah,
but see, I don't know. You've lived it. I don't know.
But I'm going from the documents there. You don't know what happened in those 10 months.
I don't, mate.
They were so desperate. Now, what happened at the same time?
Yep.
I was teaching unarmed combat, and I had a wrecked shoulder.
Yeah, right.
Now, the second time he come that I reckon I was applied to another 10,000, which is just a minute copy of the first occasion.
Yeah.
He did come to me, where's the guns?
Yeah.
And I said, I can't find me mate Shane. Bloody hell, it looks like we've done our money.
Yeah.
Hey?
Right.
So that's my way of saying it.
Yeah, you bolted and up yours. Yeah.
So at the time, I was teaching unarmed combat. And I got a wrecked shoulder, and I thought, well, I better get my left going pretty good. And I ripped in here, and I can't pick up a cup, I can't wipe my bum, I can't pick.
Yeah.
So I'm vulnerable, and when I'm vulnerable, I don't like going out.
No.
But Matt keeps coming to me. He come to me place 26 times wide up, and but 16 of them times,
I
say to him, mate, can I get 100 off you? I can get this for you.
Yeah.
I kept on
squeezing.
16 and with that $100 I go and pay physio for $50 and get some food. The doll was covering me rent. I'm a big time gangster. I'm fucking starving. I'm starving. And I can't even wipe my bum properly.
The part made on this, shoulders and shit.
Oh
it's
no, that was
excruciating.
yeah. But I've just got over frozen shoulders again. Yeah, but anyway, back to that.
Yeah.
He comes to see me.
Yep.
He was always coming to see me. 25 times he come to see me.
hell.
But this with the gun bit, he says to me, Gary, you owe me 1,600. I'll tell you what I'll do. I desperately need 2 guns. Get me 2, and I'll pay you 4,000. You'll get an earn there, and you'll square the 1,600 up.
Yep.
Because all the time I was thinking about robbing him for 300 or 400 pounds a pot.
Shit, that's a lot of pot.
Yeah, well, he's supposed to have 2 big plantations or planted somewhere. I don't know. I didn't know he was an undercover.
Yeah.
And so I go up and see Fuzzer. He's dead. My mate up the cross. I've known him for many years. He's committed suicide, poor bugger. Lovely chap.
Yeah.
But at the time, you get guns for 1,200. So I go up and see Fuzzer, and I say, give us 3,000 for a couple of guns. Well, he's happy with his 600.
Yeah.
Matt's happy with the 2 guns I've sold him. And I'm happy
got
with
a few bucks.
I'm happy with 1,000.
Yeah.
But the 26 tape, the one I never had till the day I went up, the first day we go for a plea of guilty or not guilty.
Yep.
I get the 26, and it's as plain as day on that tape.
Yep.
All the others are undecipherable. Because I was so excited. I said, hey Matt, you want any more of them guns like I sold you last week? I'll get you plenty, as many as you want.
Yeah.
And with as much ammo. Well, when they played me that tape, they said, and one of them guns you wouldn't believe was taken off from an armed robbery.
Oh shit!
In the Studebaker. It was a Studebaker.
Studebaker's club. Yeah, nightclub.
And they say there's a
Bayswater. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was round that way.
Yeah.
And anyway, this son is 14. What do you want? 14 years here. They know they've, excuse me, fucked up so badly with the other stuff.
Yeah.
Plead guilty to that, and we'll forget about no jail time for the guns.
Yeah.
I said, what's the deal?
Yeah.
They said 1 year, you'll get out in 10 months. I finished up getting 3.5 years.
And out in,
No, 2 years, 7 months.
Yeah.
But they sent me back to Howie, the bloke who done, when I'm trying to get the coppers charged. And I said, and when I saw, it's funny, I run into that Hallett. I seen him 2 years after I got out, and he says to me, oh, you out, Page? He said, you're not dirty, I say, you? I said, well, you've had a bit of luck, so have I. I said, look, let's just call it quits, eh? And he said, yeah, we're lucky you pleaded guilty. We fucked it up, didn't we? I said, you sure didn't. I said, you've reneged on the year. So just forget to tell Judge Howie about that. I said, I got 3.5. I said, look.
You said we'll call it square.
I said, you've had a bit of luck, so have I. Let's call it square. I said, if you want to find me now, I'm down at Woolloomooloo, I'm coaching down Woolloomooloo PCYC, boxing and martial arts.
Okay.
And Woolloomooloo PCYC.
Yeah.
I was down they knew about my life sentence. They knew, even when I got documents, even when I was doing the 3 years, or the 2 years, 7 months, I was still on the AGM list as member, or one of the coaches there.
Yeah, right.
And when I got out, they were happy to see me and all this.
Well, that's a pretty tough area too, Gary, around there.
Well, that's what. Yeah. Well, so was Pat. It was Danny Landini. I got thousands and thousands of stories I could tell. We're sort of.
Oh no, yeah, no worries, mate. Yep, we can press on. Yeah.
Did you want to ask me?
When you're ready, if you want it, up to you. If you want to go a bit about your childhood, whenever you're ready,
well,
if you want to. Yeah.
Have we got how long?
We got time, mate. We got another 15 minutes. Yeah?
Oh, that all?
Yeah. We can keep talking for a bit.
Right,
We're around it. We're sort of around the hour mark now. So.
Oh, right. Well, I'd like to finish on.
Yeah. Please continue. It's interesting stuff, mate. As I said from the start, I think you got like 10 bloody movies in you and 10 novels in you, mate. So.
Well.
Fair dinkum.
I like to, these are funny. Not funny, but I like to put these in. My childhood can come at another time.
Absolutely.
I mentioned a quarrelsome child, problems with your father.
Yep.
Courage to fight.
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
Yeah.
And if I got beat, he'd give me another riding. Yeah, so I learned how to get disqualified.
Yeah.
And I fought like that all my life because I think in the subconscious that if ever I got beat, I'd get another hiding from him. So I'd make sure I'd win any way I could.
Yeah.
But this is quite, I think this is another time with the coppers.
Yep.
I got out of prison on the 28th, 89 after dealing with 14 years. I used to ask some blokes who came back what went wrong, and it was suggested to me do nothing for at least a year. So that's what I did. So I did a bit of work as a bricklayer, but wasn't much good at delivery driving because I kept on getting lost. And anyway, a couple of mates said there's something about a bloke owed a gambling debt, you collect the money, and I went and collected the money. Cut the story short, it was I was
done a bit of standover sort of.
No, he thought he was. I don't know that he thinks he's paying the detective money.
Yep.
To get a no bill.
Oh, righto. Right.
I'll finish on. There's a lot more to talk. I'll tell you. This is a funny story.
Yep. Yep.
And well, I better not because there's a no bill on it. That means you can be convicted in the future.
Cover your ass, mate.
Now, Waverley Lake I caught the 10th of the 12th, 93. Robbery being armed in company, discharge. What a fuck up this one for the cops. I'll finish on this one because I was out in $60,000 bail reporting to Paddington Police Station daily. I was walking back to my car and cops yell out, "Come back here, Pagey." I say, "I've just signed the sorry book, I'll see you tomorrow." They run out. Waverley armed hold up, want to see you. I tell them, "Can you put a sticker on my car that I'm in police custody? I don't want to be any parking tickets." Waverley armed hold up, come and get me, and I'm charged with a home invasion on Bodyguard Avenue. I say nothing except I want my lawyer. That night in the cells wasn't good. They had the radio blaring, and when I put the toilet paper over the speaker, they flashed the lights on, and next day was the Thursday on and off, and the next day was the Thursday before Good Friday. I get refused bail by the clerk of the court. On the way back to the cells, I say to the sergeant, "I'm not going back in the cell." I'm thinking that I'm better off fighting all the cops and hope they have to take me to hospital. So I'm not staying here. That's going through my head. I thought,
take a flogging and at least get out of the hospital. Yeah, get out of it.
Get out of the joint. Fuck, it wasn't good. That's because it was also back, because it was the Easter weekend, see?
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, geez, I'm going crazy. Anyway, then I said, he says, my barrister and the cop run out. They run out, and I'm sitting on the stairs waiting. Waiting for them. And anyway, my brother-in-law come back,
right.
And he said, "Gary, they've guaranteed me that you're going to be going. They don't want you here either. Blah blah blah."
Okay.
An hour later, my assistant bloke comes in and tells me that they promised to take me to Long Bay if I go back to my cell peacefully. Wasn't long before I was out Long Bay remand section. I get refused bail on a Tuesday. I get on a 30,000 bail about a month later. Pat Costello, 2,000. Next time I go to court, Wayne Baskey, 800. The last time I go to court, 10th of the 12th, 93, 2 armed hold-up squads, cops say to me, "What are you doing here, Pagey?" I said, "I don't know, I'm pinched on a home invasion on Bodyguard Avenue." They told me, "We've got the 2 blokes downstairs that did that." I tell them, "I'm not worried about the month I did, but what about trying to get me 2,800 back?" They tried, but to no avail. The magistrate said if I had have said where I was at the time, I wouldn't have been arrested. It was a photo ID arrest.
Yeah, right.
And the photo ID, the bloke reckoned, that's him. I can tell by his piercing eyes. Eh?
They are piercing. Look into the camera if you could, Gary. Have a look at that up here, mate. Have a look at that swingers. His eyes tell a story for sure, mate. Fucking hell.
I've freaked plenty of people out. It was funny when I was in my younger days when I was running around with a 22 to 26. I run around with all the big. So I had a hat on like them, you know, the Frank Sinatra hat and sunglasses and. I'd walk in a nightclub because you had to pay. It was when the Yanks were out there. You had to pay protection.
Yep.
And most of the time, I was just going around picking the money up.
Yeah, right. Yep.
You know, and if there wasn't there, me and you used to be Ratty Jack Clark, Donny the Glove Smith, Lunatic Leslie Yugoslav, and McPherson and Freeman.
Yep.
They're waiting. They all got shot.
Yeah.
And I must say that the way they got rid of, Yugoslavs, Leslie Yugoslav, he never got shot.
Yeah.
He was a pretty dangerous sort of bloke, and because I know, because I used to go up there punching on them, smashing the joints, and no one would touch us.
Yeah.
Because I knew that. You just
Don't get involved with this shit. There's going to be repercussions. Yeah.
But how they got rid of him was incredible. They made it look like he took someone's car off him.
Yep.
Was going to push it over the cliffs of Tamarama.
Yep.
And when he closed the door, his suitcase got caught in it.
Oh no!
And he went over with it.
He went with it.
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
I got a laugh about that, but because I thought that was, that was very clever.
See you later. Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, I only do that once. Yeah.
But I got hundreds of stories about that. But we've done enough of the reading now about and the real deal stuff and the things that haven't gone wrong, right or wrong in some places. Yeah. But
the Cross was a different place.
Well,
it's finished now.
Look, we're talking about over 50 years ago.
Yeah,
That's when the Yanks were out here on Vietnam leave, R&R for Vietnam.
The sort of time of like the Bourbon and Checkers nightclub.
Yeah, that's
and all
right.
That sort of stuff.
I've been to all them joints, but I was barred from all them joints too.
Yeah.
Because it was all about protection money.
Yeah, right. Yep.
From them sort of places. It wasn't security.
Yep.
This was protection.
Yeah.
McPherson,
I believe, had a lot to do with it.
McPherson took after the three. I knew McPherson and Freeman and all that. Someone I said 15 years ago, he said, "Oh, George used to freak when he seen you walk in the joint. I hope he don't come and drink with us." Because I just didn't care. Because all the time I'm thinking, the old man.
Yeah.
I've got to make sure I'll show my old man I can fucking do anything.
Fucking handle this.
Yeah. And how I got tangled up in '68. I mentioned bird smoke. In '68, I was big front headlines.
Yeah.
Birdman of Bondi taking Paris overseas. That'd make it. I should have got a Victoria Cross. Some of the things I was doing. Fair dinkum.
They call you Birdman.
The Birdman. Well, that's what the papers did. They're 40 Paris. Birdman of Bondi.
But they're expensive. There's big money in it.
The day I got caught, I didn't actually get caught. I saw them taking one of the, because I had 4 pairs of gangs in the case.
Yeah, right.
2 cases I had, and I saw, but they don't go. They go quack quack. And so the story with the birds was they're fed up for a month and they're fit and healthy and.
Yep.
They're going on a 6-8 hour trip. They're just going to sleep in a nice cage with a little bit of air they can get. It was no good getting there with dead birds, and they're putting the whole of the plane.
Yep.
And they're semi-pressurised.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah, and birds fly. And so what happens with them? One starts squawking. I do the bolt. 2 weeks later, I go and give myself up, and it's big news. Nobody's ever heard of this before.
Yeah.
See, Birdman of Bondi.
Yeah.
And one of the trips this is how I started drinking bourbon and Coke. Actually, I hardly ever touched a drink because I didn't want to be a drunk like my father, and I wanted to do other things.
Yeah.
And so I had this bourbon. I was there for 10 days.
Yep.
New Zealand, and I didn't like their flat beer they had in Flanagan, so I started these bourbons, these are nice.
Have a whack of the spirits and warm up a bit.
Well, I didn't know what it was. It was nice. I didn't drink, but this tasted nice.
Yep.
And so anyway, I started drinking a bit, and then I started getting out a bit because I've got money from and I'm pulling money, and I go to the taxi club one night. I get thrown out. I was with my beautiful first wife at the time too.
Right.
And I had a 22 rifle there, and the time that scared me, Lana, most of all, was one time my father come crying to me about his next door neighbour.
Yeah.
And I said, he used to walk his dogs, used to walk his 2 French poodles.
Yeah, right.
So I thought I'll show Dad. I got across the road and I waited 6 hours with that 22. When that bloke come walking out with his dogs, I was going to shoot him.
You're going to sniper him. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And well, that scared Lana. That scared her a lot. Not because I was going to hurt her, but she don't know the troubles I've had with my father. So and then so when I get thrown, I've still got the 22, and I'm drinking a bit. I had a nice Volkswagen 1300, and I was going all right.
You were all right. Yeah.
And a beautiful wife, and start drinking. I go up to the taxi club this night and get thrown out. I got thrown out and get thrown. So I go and get the 22 rifle. I'm down the bottom of the stairs. And it had a big light. I'll never get this bloke, the big bouncer, this Scotsman he was. He had a pipe hanging in his pipe. That dropped out and he got the other way. And when I fired the shot, it bloody bounced off anyway. So, and then I get thrown out of Quigley's. That was a 2-up game at Paddington. And so throw me out. Who do they think? So I go and get me 22 rifle. It was in the garage. So I go back and I put 2 shots in the roof because it was raining.
And so everyone scattered. And,
well, I don't know. I didn't stay long. And
I can understand.
Because I just went in and put boom, boom, and out. It wasn't going to hang around. And then at the Latin Quarter, somebody got shot. And I said to myself, geez, I'd like to go and see that joint, the Latin Quarter.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I go there, and on the Bourbons, and I sort of don't know anybody really.
Yeah, right.
On the way out, the big bouncer, he pings me, and I thought to myself, well, I'll just do the bolt, and I'll know when to run and when to. So the next night, I go back and I think to myself, I better not take me 22 rifle back there.
Yeah.
They got probably more.
Oh, hell's going to break this, yeah.
So, around the corner, Jimmy Pappas and Jimmy Harris, a couple of Greeks, they had a Manila game. I thought, if I get up, walk, it was in Park and Pitt Street, right?
Righto.
And I'll get up in the iron and I'll walk. So I get up and I walk around, I'm hanging over the top. Yeah, get up. Because I had 2 Coke bottles. I thought the only way you can get up here is to climb up the telegraph pole and I'll get in with them. This one.
Oh, didn't see.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was a psycho, don't worry. And anyway, someone come out and knew me, and coming out, and they changed the name to the Cheetah Room, for the Latin Quarter of the Cheetah Room.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and they said, come and have a drink. Oh, guys, what are you doing? I said, this bloke pinged me, and come and have a drink, guys. Come here and have a bit of fun. And then that's how I met Ratty, Jack Clark and Donny. They loved me because we've got this young loony.
Yeah. But you could also have a bit of a laugh too.
Oh, a lot of fun. Because I didn't think I was going to laugh long.
Yeah. And then those clubs are all up in Paddington, sort of way, or around that area, a bit before my time.
What?
Some of the clubs you're talking about. I know the taxi club. I know the taxi club.
No, they were in the city all across.
Yeah, righto. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was Double Bay. There was 1 or 2 at Double Bay and Rose Bay.
Yep.
They had to pay their money.
Yeah, righto. Yeah.
Otherwise, they'd be. And actually, I had a bad incident. I did have a bad incident one. So my first missus, I was finished with. We separated.
Yeah.
And she used to come to the Cheetah Room all the time because she knew I'd be there every night.
Righto. Yeah.
And she'd have a big yank there. Well, I'd punch on when them was on, and so this night.
Yank service blokes. Or
Yeah.
They were everywhere.
They were spending $1,600 in 10 days.
Shit,
That's why everyone had money.
That's a big lot of money.
Yeah, it was good. But this particular night, I don't know what happened, but I finished up gouging the bloke's eye out, and I'll never forget, it was in my hand, and I thought, I thought it was an oyster. I didn't know what it was, and anyway. But what happened? It was reported to R&R Centre.
Yeah.
And they said, any more incidents like this? So Ratty Jack Clark come next time. He says, "Gaz, you've got to stop doing it." I said, "Well, tell her to stop coming here with blokes." They said, "We don't even know who she is, right?" So the next 3 times she comes there, I wait till the bloke she's with goes to the toilet because she's always bringing them fucking big commandos and everything.
Yeah.
And I followed the toilet and through, and I said, "Hey man, that's a good sword you're with." He say, "Yeah." I said, "Well, that's my missus. Go and she's a good fuck. Go and take her somewhere else. You're upsetting my night." Well, they.
Yeah.
But when she stopped coming there after 3 months, this is a funny story, and I knew where she was living at her mother's place because she wasn't with me; she was in her mother's.
Yeah.
So I think, well, I'll catch her out with a bloke this night. So I'll go and hide under her bed, and she comes home by herself. But when she goes to sleep,
What happened?
pushed her out and I lifted the mattress up and
She would have shit herself.
She did,
She's in a dead sleep, and
oh look at oh look, I got 1 million stories about it. And
yeah.
I'll the cheater, now there's an assault occasion actually bodily harm there. One of my charges. I will finish on this because I'm running out of time.
No worries, mate. We'll wrap it up shortly.
Yeah, this is a good one. Was in the cheater room. I'm on with a waitress there named Barbara.
Yep.
That was a go them days too. Well, you're one of the tops. You like tell us you're with me, blah blah blah. But
right. Yeah.
That's if you wanted to have a good job, you get with somebody. That's the way it was.
Oh right. Yeah.
And I'm walking in the club. I used to get there about 11:30 every night, and I'm walking into the club.
Yep.
And Barbara's walking out arm in arm with the night editor of the Daily Telegraph, right?
Yeah.
And he liked to be drinking with Bradley Jack Clark and that. And, you know, he wants to be seen. He wants to
be seen in the
he
know.
wants to know,
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, there's your little gangster boy." And she goes. So next night I'm up at Candy's. And I said, "Put me on the little gangster boy."
Oh, he's going to regret this. Yeah.
Well, let me finish.
Yep.
You can talk then.
Yep.
I say, "Well, I'm going to fix." I said, "Well, I'm just going to go and fix him up."
Yep.
So I say to Rocky, I said, "Give us a linear blade, will you?" And he says, "You're going to use it?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, get rid of it when you do, after you've used it." So on the way, I'm walking out of Candy's, and Norm Lipson, he's a crime reporter now. I've known him for 50 years. He don't want nothing to do with me still. But he said, "I see this bloke having a go at Norm Lipson and another bloke, Little George."
Yep.
And I say to him, "Well, I might as well start with this bloke here." Because I'm going down there to give it to the Daily Telegraph bloke, you know.
Yeah.
So this bloke, big fella's having a go at Little George Demos and the ant Norm Lipson.
Right.
I said, "Well, I'll fix him up." I said, "Hey, you," and he turned around, I stabbed him straight in the stomach.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And that's what happened. No, but what happened? He's pinged me, and I'm the one who went down.
Oh.
And I thought, that's not what you see in a movie. You stab someone, they're supposed to go.
Yeah, they go down. Yeah.
But when I'm getting up, I get him across here,
Yeah.
you know, and then he realises
Yeah.
that...
He's going on adrenaline, I suppose, on the first.
No, well, you don't feel it when you...
Yeah, the first...
They're pretty... You know, the blades on a flick knife, they might be... They're not big, but anyway, I done the bolt,
Shit.
and
Yeah.
I rang up my old man. I
Yeah.
said, "Hey," I said, "I've just killed a bloke. I'm on my way to go and kill that other bloke down at, you know, or stab him anyway."
Yeah.
And I rang my dad up and I said, "Hey, Dad," I said, "I've just killed a bloke. You're reading about it in the papers." He said, "You're not dreaming, are you, son?" So, and one thing I will say about the old man, I despise the bloke. I'm glad I never went to his grave after all the documents, it's what he said about me on the documents, pre-sentence reports and that. But sums my life up. In 1981, when he came to see me in Parramatta prison, the toughest of them all at the time, it was the hardest jail of all. "I don't worry about you here, son. I know you can look after yourself."
So he give you that.
And when he never gave me nothing, he in fact, 2 months before he died, he come to see me in Park to make his peace with me, with Mum.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah. And he was a 14, 15 stone man down to 8 stone. And I'll never. When I shook his hand at the end, he said, "I'll come here." I said, "Look, I put me in, you silly old me, not me," because he was, you know, he died 2 months later, and
Did he have cancer, Garry?
I don't know what he had.
Yeah.
He wasn't good.
Yeah.
But when he shook my hands, I can still remember. I said, the strength in his hands, because that's all I remember. Is bang, 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 bang. He never used to punch me. Or once he did, but. Bang, I can still remember my ears ringing. He used to slap me around the ears. I said, "You old bastard, you still got it, eh?" And he said, "Yeah, I still say that." And I loved him then. But when I finished up getting documents about 10 years ago,
yeah,
about things he said about me, because of the fear he had of me, because as I said, I nearly killed him. That's why they did it. And I just... It's just a shame that I read them about him, because that night he shook my hands in Park Lee, I loved him all that day.
Yeah.
But when I read them documents, I'm glad I never went to his grave to show him my respects.
Yeah, right.
So he's, in a way it's sad, but he's gone, and I'm 77 now, so I won't be far behind him.
Mate, you're doing well for 77. What did your father do? He sounded like a massive, strong bloke.
No, well, he used to work for Remont Water Service, actually.
Oh, okay.
He used to go around repairing...
putting new water heaters.
Now, in the family, Dad, when he was drunk, Christmas party, he drove under the back of a semi-trailer. The bloke on the passenger side finished up in the back seat.
Oh, fuck.
Auntie Shirley killed Uncle Basil, which was Dad's brother, because he was bad drunk, and he was a violent drunk. And that's what when Auntie Lee's grandma come to see me down with Dad. "You're mad, you're mad, you're mad, you're worse than your Uncle Basil." She goes, I said, "Oh, shut up, you silly old move. And don't come down here going, crook at me, you know, fucking And my cousin Bobby, who's Bobby Page. Yeah. Bobby Page, the best thing that happened to me when I was a kid, because he won the Golden Gloves. And the old man keeps on saying, you couldn't beat your brother, your cousin who's a year younger. So I used to go and flog Bob. And I knew I could flog him any time I wanted to, which means I could beat everyone else.
Yeah, right.
And I actually got barred from everywhere by the time I was 15, because I wasn't in there to win or lose. I was in there to get disqualified.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because
you're not listening to the ref, you'll just do your own thing.
Spit at them and kick them. And I just wanted to get disqualified so I could get away. That was the only way I knew I couldn't get beat.
Yeah.
And get another ride off my old man, see? So I thought that was my way out.
Yeah, yeah. Mate, unbelievable story. We've done a chip on the iceberg, mate, to you know, with your knowledge and your life story.
I will finish on one thing if I can. Please, put it
mate,
in.
Please.
Before I went to school, I could read or write, and that's what Mum said. The biggest mistake Mum said I made with Garry was let him put him up 2 classes when he first started school. So all my school years, I was the littlest, the youngest, and lots of times the smartest kid in the class, the runt, and always get picked on by the bullies. And I won a bursary. I finished up from a break school to Waverley College because I was brilliant.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But I was brilliant up to 3rd year. That's why I won. Got the scholarship. Well, I got there for some reason. I think I won a bursary or a scholarship or something. I forget now.
Yeah,
but what happened? Waverley College, they got the Army Cadets Friday, right?
Yep.
The first Friday, I got the form, I filled it in like everybody else. I'm there, I'm the youngest guy to sit up the front seat so I could see the blackboard. And General Boris Farrell the general of the cadets walks in the first Friday, and I'm the only bloke sitting there with no uniform.
Right, right.
Where's your uniform? I'll never forget this day as long as I live. It changed my life completely. He said, "Where's your uniform, Page?" I said, "I don't know, sir, I don't know, sir." He said, "Where's your uniform?" Screaming at me, and I started crying, "I don't know, sir." And the whole school's laughing, or the whole class are laughing at me.
Yeah, yeah.
And he ordered me out of the classroom until I got my uniform. Well, the problem with the uniform was I was too little for him to fit in any uniform. So I could, and it just kept going. So I started the physics class was at 11:15 after muster.
Yep.
No, before muster.
Yeah.
And I realised once I've been mustered on the muster.
Yep.
I'm registered on at school, so I started wagging school. on me push bike, and that's why you reckon General Farrell reckon I never got my uniform, is because I used to do a chemist run, get 30 shillings a week, go and deliver them on my push bike, go and, all the
After
other.
you ticked off and school.
After school.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but you're making a quid, and you're thinking.
No, but they're all got their fathers as solicitors and
Picking
lawyers.
them up.
They're wealthy, come from wealth. I'm come from a factory worker, Ream. I think it was in the factory then. And I needed that 30 bob a week. I worked more when I was a teenager, paper boy and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I started wagging school, getting with the Wellington Street Public Boys School, and then the snooker rooms and milk bars come into it, and then jumping through windows and things like that.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of people who heard this story, is if Brother Farrell hadn't kicked you out of that class that day, your whole life would have been different. And one more thing has come to mind. When I was 18, I got a job on the bus conductors, as a bus conductor for four months.
Yeah.
And they put me on the Errol Park trot run.
Right.
That was from Circular Quay to Errol Park, in Glebe, right?
Right.
And the takings were £14, 4 shillings.
Yeah.
Well, after the second race, you'd wait there till the last race to get it. Well, I lost the £14 betting on the trot.
And £14 was a fair bit.
Yeah, I know it was a fair bit. There's no way. And I got back about midnight to the depot with 4 shillings. And where are you going to get 14 quid from?
What am I going to do?
Well, I got the sack, that's what
I was going to say, what happened? They give you the sack.
So if you get the sack from the buses...
That's the end of it for any government sort of thing.
You've got to be a crook.
Yeah.
And all them people I met at the snooker rooms...
I remember the conductors. I used to have them things.
I was a cartoon one time, because I used to... They pink flag pants, cap on with the hair coming down here, and tickets please, it was like I was playing, as if I was playing a...
I'd hate to be a punter on the bus giving you cheek,
well,
but...
that happened a couple of times.
I bet it did. Mate, we'll finish up. Can I just, one last question? All up, how many years you serve at 17?
Well, I've done 20 with a 15, a 4 with nearly a 4 with a 3.
Yep.
3 smaller ones.
Yep.
And refused bail 4 times. So it works out between 18 and 20 years. So.
Yeah, right. Shit.
So,
yeah, that's a fair whack. Yeah, for sure. Look, Garry, thanks very much, mate. We really appreciate you coming in today, and I know you don't talk to a lot of people, so I do acknowledge that and appreciate it a lot. We may talk again, mate. We may talk again, and we thank you very much. I think we'll wrap this up, Marcus, that was episode 14 Swingers. And everything we've discussed today is of public record, like we do with all our people involved in crime in the past. We're predominantly talking crime now, and Garry Page, HOD, Hand of Death. We really appreciate his time today. Thanks very much, Swingers. We'll be back with some more stuff real soon, and we'll talk then. Bye.